At class 8. Today we will be discussing with a new chapter, that is the Great Uprising of 1857, and this chapter is from history section. So let's proceed. Now in this chapter we shall discuss this one, the most important things, that are introduction of for 19 revolt of 1857, and what are the reasons for uprising. Means the uprising means revolution, revolt of 1857, and for that reasons there are numerous reasons such as social causes, religious causes, economic causes, as well as military causes. So in for these causes they have their different reasons. Okay, like social cause have different causes, religious causes has different subtopics, and economic causes too have different subtopic, as well as military causes. So in this module, in this video, I shall discuss about the causes. Okay, so moving forward, let's understand what is revolt of 1857. The revolt of 1857 was one of the first war of Indian independence against British. So when we started our chapters, we studied about how British came as a traders, and it was transferred to rulers. Okay, how we studied, like there are two parts: traders to rulers and traders to rulers part 2. Okay, so after that we studied about what were the social changes that were occurred in the when East India Company took over India, on politics as well as administration. So it's very easy for you to understand. Okay, so what are the changes? Now after that changes, people was unsatisfied. Indian people were unsatisfied because of numerous things that Britishers did. Okay, Britishers was very biased. They were only helping Britishers, but they were not helping in the poor Indians. So so many reasons came up. That's why this Indian independence, India started to revolt. So in the revolt of 1857 was one of the first wars of Indian independence against British. So you need to understand these lines. Now this revolt can aptly be termed as First War of Independence. So this war triggered the India's independence, process of India's independence. So revolt of 1857 can be termed as a first war of Indian independence against whom? Against British. Kings, peasants, tribal landlords, and all sepoys were all dissatisfied with the British rule. Who were dissatisfied? Kings, peasants, tribal landlords, and all the sepoys were also dissatisfied by the British rule. Now, so the date that we have to understand when this revolt of 1857 started was actually 29th of March 1857. Okay, so you need to understand this date is one of the most important date, because on this date, that is 29th of March 1857, the war started, the revolt started, the revolt of 1857. Okay, now you need to be understanding, like, who were the people that started the revolution. So Mangal Pandey was the first officer. Like, Mangal Pandey attacked his officer. This officer is from Britishers. Okay, so in this picture you can see and make out, like, there is a British people are also there, and Indian people are also out here, and they had a war. So these it says that the attack by Mangal Pandey is considered as one of the first attacks of what came to be known as the Great Rebellion or the Sepoy Mutiny. So this revolt of 1857 has numerous names. Okay, you don't be confused, because every name is totally regarded for revolt of 1857, such as it can be named as Sepoy Mutiny, or it can be known as the Great Rebellion, or Great Rebellion. So till now we have discussed about three names, that is revolt of 1857, or first war of independence, Sepoy Mutiny, as well as Great Rebellion. Now, proceeding further, the Sepoy. The Sepoy means the people who were in British Army, but it were for India's people. Okay, not British people, but Indian people. The Sepoy wanted to end to the British rule. What was the demand of Sepoy? The demand of Sepoy was to end this British rule and make Bahadur Shah Jafar their leader. So Sepoy too have their own agenda of throwing out British rule, because they were unsatisfied with the rule that were done by British. Now what happened? The main agenda was that they wanted, Indian Sepoy wanted to make Bahadur Shah Jafar as a leader of India, or leader of them. So in Delhi, now we are talking about a place Delhi, okay? In Delhi, Sepoy killed many British officers, confiscated their ammunition, and set their buildings on fire. Now, what happened? What they did in Delhi? The Indian Sepoy killed the officials of Britishers, and they also took the ammunitions, means guns, bullets, so many things. They took from them, and they set the building on fire. They raided, means they raided the building of British officers. So after a week after the British were evicted from Delhi, now what happened after that incident? All the Britishers were evicted, means they were taken to other places from Delhi. A wave of mutinies began in different parts of the country. Now, whatever that triggered in Delhi, now it transferred to different parts of the country. Okay, more and more regiments rebelled and joined other troops. What happened after that? After that incident, more rebellions, more troops joined at nodal places like Kanpur, Delhi, and Lucknow, to see that they wanted to throw over the British, and they wanted to make Bahadur Shah Jafar as a leader. And with this incident that took place in Delhi, gave an agenda, gave a thing. They changed their thinking pattern. Now, okay, we can win over British, and we can try also. So these things happen. So this is introductions to revolt of 1857. So now let's understand what are the causes for uprising. Uprising means revolt only. Okay, so you don't need to be confused with the meaning what is uprising. So there are, as I said in the beginning of my video, I have said that there are numerous causes. And let's recapitulate. There are, for revolt of 1857, there are 4 causes, each have their own subtopics. Okay, so social cause, religious cause, economic cause, and military cause. So let's proceed with social cause. Let's understand what are the social cause. So these are the sub causes. Okay, number 1 is interference in social custom. Number 2 is apprehending modern measures. Number 3 is conspiracy. Number 4 is policy of racial discrimination and policy. Number 5 is alienation of the middle and the elite. Now let's understand these each causes one by one in detail. Now, social cause. Look, this is a picture depicting about sati. Okay, and I know you have all heard about what is sati, so I don't need to explain the meaning sati also. Let's move further. In social cause, point number 1, sub causes is interference in social customs. So the British past, the British were the rulers of India, right, at that period of time. The Britishers passed Reforms Act. Through this act, customs of sati was abolished and widow remarriage was legalized. Now what happened? The custom of sati was abolished. Sati it is like this, that whenever a husband of a woman is pronounced dead, that woman also have to go in pyre, self-immolate herself in the name of her husband. So these social evils that was practiced in India was changed, and widow remarriage, those who didn't had husband, their husband had already died, they were also legalized to be married again. So these kind of changes, these kind of acts that had happened in that were happening in India, British tried to change, and this act irritated people of India. Okay, so Lord Dalhousie changed Hindu inheritance law, where practice of adopting a child was restricted. This step was an example of undue interference in law. Now, what happened? In last chapters also we have talked about different people, okay, different British people that introduced different kind of things in India. So, in the same note, Lord Dalhousie changed Hindu inheritance means one about it is like so this inheritance, I can give you a meaning. It says that it refers to the assets that an individual takes over their loved ones after they passes away after they pass away. Okay, so it is like that. If a man is there, okay, so he became very old, then he dies. Okay, he dies. Then what happened, his son will be the inheritor. Okay, all the properties, all the things, that all the works, social things, all the things are transferred in his name. So inheritance, that is called inheritance. Okay, so Lord Dalhousie changed Hindu inheritance law, where practicing of adopting a child was restricted. So, and with this one, if a there was like, if a parents didn't had any child, so adopting a child was not legalized, but Britishers when came to India changed this act also. And for this step was an undue interference of religion. People thought that they Britishers are taking advantage, and they are criticizing our criticizing in our personal matter. So these factors also triggered a sense of irritations to the people of India. Now, for let's understand about apprehending modern measures. This is number 2. Introduction of modern education, particularly the opening of Western education to girls, irritate people. In India, people thought that girls are not to be educated, okay, because when they marry and they go to her husband's place, the work done by her is to be just cooking and cleaning the houses. But when British came to India with the help of modern education, what happened, the girls also got chance to be educated, and that also irritated people. British adopted a new education policy which destroyed the indigenous system of education. Now, when British entered to India, they changed the change in education pattern, or they also changed the education pattern. So what happened, the indigenous method that we were following, like Gurukul system, only boys should study, so on and so forth, only kings used to study, that were totally destroyed. Okay, so new policies, where girls also got an opportunity to study, was included. Now, government stopped the scholarship to Indian students. Other factor is that government didn't give any scholarships to Indian students, but only gave their scholarship to British students. Teachers, students, and parents were angry with the British government, and this is also a social cause. Okay, at that, whenever everything was changed, the teachers also became angry, students also became angry, as well as parents also became angry towards the British government. Now, the other third point in social causes, conspiracy. It was also made that the British government had hatched a conspiracy to destroy the caste and religion of Hindu and Muslims. So what happened at that? There was a rumor also. Okay, there was a conspiracy also that British wanted to destroy the caste and religion of which category, Hindus as well as Muslims. So people were told that British had mixed the bone of dust of cows and pigs into the flour that was sold in the market. So there was a conspiracy also. Okay, no, it was told that whatever the flour that they used to eat in while making chapatis, it was mixed with bone of the cows as well as pig that were sold in the market. Bone of cows and pigs. For Hindus, cow is very sacred animal. Sacred animal we worship, right? And pigs also. Muslims, pig is outcast. They don't eat pig. Okay, so it is says haram. So both Hindus and Muslims also were very confused, like they were very much angry because whatever the flour they used for making chapatis at their home, they are mixed with bone of cows as well as pigs. So this also irritated the people, common people. Now, social cause, the point number 4, alienation of the middle and elite. The middle and upper section of Indian society felt oppressed. What happened? The middle and the upper section of Indian society felt oppressed. The British occupied territories of native rulers and then deprived the Indians of higher posts which they held earlier under the Indian rule. Cultural people like poets, writers, musicians, etc. Now, when British came to India, naturally they occupied different territories. Okay, and when they didn't give any appointment to the people who had who had higher posts previously. Okay, in India the higher posts were held by poets, writers, musicians, etc. But when Britishers came to India, these positions were also be snatched away. So this also was another social cause. Now the religious men like Pandit and Maulvis also lost their all former powers and prestige, because when king was the ruler of India, when king used to rule the India, what happened means priests and Maulvis had their own respect. They used to hold a very high authority of respect and power. But when Britishers came into India, that was totally changed, because Britishers did not believe in any kind of superstitions. Britishers had their own way of taking out their administration policies. Okay, so I guess that you have understood till now. Now, moving forward, let's understand what is the religious cause. And in religious cause, also like in social cause, there are numerous causes. Okay, supports to Christian missionaries, pro-Christian law, missionary activities in the armies, restriction on religious symbol, role of rumors. Okay, now these are the things that we will be discussing in subsequent slides. Now, let's talk about the first religious cause, state supports to Christian missionaries. Now, people felt that their religion was in danger. Okay, the people were fearing that their religion was in danger, because in India is a Hindu as well as Muslim dominated country, Hindu dominated country. But when Britishers came, British brought their own religion, that is Christian. Okay, Christian, and when Christian entered, the people of India thought that their religion is in danger. So, appointed chaplains preached to the Christianity in army. Now, the British government also appointed different people to preach the Christianity in the army. Now, let's understand what is the meaning of chaplain. Chaplains means a member which is attached to chapel. Okay, member which is attached to private chapel, institution, etc. Okay, so Britishers appointed a member which was attached to private chapel and preached Christianity in the army. The Christian missionaries were actively converting people, making attacks on Hinduism and Islam. So Christian missionaries started their mission that to convert Hindus and Muslims to Christianity. Government also supported their activities. Our government at that period of time was British, so naturally British had their own Christian values, and they also supported those kind of things that were happening at that period of time. Pro-Christian law. The East India Company enforced a new law in 1850 to enable the converts to Christianity to inherit their ancestral property. Now, it enforced a new law. Those who were converted to Christianity, they can inherited their ancestral property. Government discriminated native religion. Native means Hindu as well as Islam. They imposed taxes on properties belonging to temple, mosques, and priests. Now, what happened was, whatever the properties that the temples were holding, mosques were holding, and the priests, Brahmins were holding, or Maulvis were holding, they imposed tax on those kind of properties. Okay, now the third one is the missionary activities in the army. The sepoy felt that the British were interfering in their religion and were determined to convert Indians into Christianity. Now, in the army sections also, people like sepoys, Indian sepoy felt that every parent, they were interfering in the religion, and they wanted to convert Hindus and Muslims towards Christianity. That a bitter feeling was there. And army maintained chaplains, as I have already said, that army also hired a chaplain who preached Christianity at any cost. Restriction on religious symbol. Military authorities forbade the use of caste and sectarian marks. Now, so sectarian marks, let's understand. In this second rectangular box, we can understand what is sectarian marks. Okay, the Indian sepoys were not allowed to put cultural marks like tilak, grow beard, and tie turban. Okay, this is called a sectarian mark. So, people were not the Indian sepoys were not given any chances, anything to wear the things that they would propagate their religion and customs. Okay, they were forced. If this Indian sepoy, whoever forbade it, who opposed the theories about their company, of their government, they were forced to serve overseas. They were they were transferred to overseas location for the service. Role of rumors. Now, role of rumors also played a very great role. Okay, the sepoy at Meerut were agitated at introduction of bullets coated with the fat of animals. Now, Indian people, this one is India as well as Muslims. Okay, and they were irritated because the bullets, whatever the bullets were be using in the at that period of time, it was coated with fat of animal, cows and pigs. British tried to explain that there was no fats of cows and pigs. British told that there is no fats of cow and pigs. It is just a rumor. But the rumor spread and acquired roots in northern India also. Okay, that particular rumor spread, and a prophecy was also put into circulation, claiming that the British rule would come to an end on the century of Battle of Plassey on 23rd June 1857. Now, the rumors also spread, and different kinds of prophecy were also be started, like prophecy of that British rule will be end in the Battle of Plassey in 1857. Those kind of rumors spread, but these fears and hopes stirred men into action. Now, people didn't want it to be the subordinate. They didn't want British new government to be their leader. They want their own native people to be their leader. Okay, so these kind of rumors also played a very vital role in triggering the people of India and causing the first war of independence. Now, Let's understand what is economic cause. This was a vital factor as it affected a large sections of Indian society. Ever since the grant of Diwani was made to the British in 1765, land revenue became an issue of much burden. British government had imposed pocket area transformation. That means introduction to the permanent settlement in Bengal, Mahalwari settlement in central, and Rotwari system in southern India. Now we have already completed about what is permanent settlement, what is Mahalwari settlement, and what is Rotwari settlement. So I am not explaining this again. You can just turn back your pages and you can see it. We have already completed this one. These three settlements were highly exploitive, and in particularly the permanent settlement had a creating a devastating impact. Now, all this new system of land revenue system was like it was not very good for India. It created a devastating impact, but the high rates of land revenue ruined the prospects of Indian peasantry. So the whatever the revenue that had to be given to the government, that is British government, was very high, and it killed the Indian peasantry. Thus, peasants were greatly encouraged to overthrow the British government in India. The drain of wealth. I have also discussed the drain of wealth, taking all the goods and materials, raw materials to England. Okay, everything was drained to England. So it is called a drain of wealth. So this also led to the change of thinking in a peasants, that they want to revolt. Okay, so these also are the economic causes the causes that actively helped in aiding revolt of 1857. Now, what are the political causes? Due to the British expansionist policy, most of Rajas, Nawabs, and Jamindars were either disposed from the state or became subsidiary to British. Now, what happened? Due to British expansionist policy, all the Nawabs or Jamindars they became just a subsidiary, they were subordinate to British. The East India Company had planned a few expansionism and made Indian state easily fell prey of the policies of East India Company. In the name of development, in the name of expansionist, every Indian state was vulnerable in the hands of East India Company, and they totally became the prey of the British company. The policy of trade and commerce subjugated the state. The policy of indirect subordination, the policy of war and annexation, and the policy of direct subordination, doctrine of lapse, policy of misgovernance in Awadh was annexed. Now, with different kind of annexation policies, different kind of misgovernance, etc., these kind of things totally happened in that particular area. So, these policies, whatever the policies that we discuss in the third bullet point, greatly hampered the interest of rulers of the native states, and they one by one became victims of British expansion. So, these are the things that happened at that period of time. These are the political causes that triggered revolt of 1857. Therefore, those rulers who lost their state to the British were naturally against the British and took side over them during the revolt of 1857. So, whatever the rulers that their territories were snatched by the Britishers in the pretext of misgovernance, in the pretext of being direct subordination, on the pretext of annexation, that particular people had a bitter feeling and they wanted to get back their territories, so they naturally aided in revolt of 1857. However, some of the rulers were actively convinced and collaborated with British in suppressing the result in the revolt. Now, what happened means there are certain bunch of people who wanted Britishers to be their ruler, because they got so many opportunities with aiding with the British. So there were certain kind of people, certain section of the people were there, but they wanted to suppress the revolt by aiding with the Britishers. The period of Dalhousie in 1848 and 1856 is marked as a major factor of revolt in 1857. So, whose period? 1848 to 1856, that period was considered as one of the important factor that aided in 1857. The famous policy under his period, that is doctrine of lapse, under these many states like Satara, Jaipur, Sambhalpur, Jhansi were captured by British, who expanded recklessly. Okay, this political factor of is that expansion policy of British greatly contributed towards the revolt of 1857. So these were expansionist policies of Dalhousie, that is doctrine of lapse. Other factor was that Indian judges were not allowed to try criminal cases of Europeans. Thus, discrimination was this level. Okay, Indian people also were highly educated. Some people were highly educated in case of law, but these people, the judges of India, were not were not given a chance to sit for a trial of a criminal case of European people. Okay, and this also can see as a discriminating things. Now, so military causes I'll be dealing in next video. Till then, stay safe and take care, and within 1 hour please submit your notes. So make it very clean and send it to me.